Hi, I am SP Scott, and welcome to another in the series, Come Away With Me. There's a popular term which has found its way into the Cultural Lingua Hall of Fame, and that term is none other than toxic environment. How often have you heard the term, that's toxic, or he's toxic, or she's toxic? In fact, the adjective toxic made the word of the year in 2018, according to the Oxford Dictionary. It's defined in its simplest form as poisonous, and it's got its Greek origin, which means toxicon pharmakon. When that's translated, it means poison for arrows. And believe you me, it has added more strings to its poisonous bow during 2018, becoming a virulently radicalized descriptor both on and offline for all the most discussed topics. We can safely say it is now firmly embedded or entrenched into our vocabulary. But apart from poisonous, what else does it mean? Well, that could range from unpleasant to harmful to the very end, which is very bad. Toxic could be anything. Take the lovely water, for example. Although very rare, water can be toxic if too much is consumed over a short period of time. And what that does is dilute the electrolytes in your blood, which leads to confusion, disorientation, nausea, and vomiting. It could be medication, like everyday paracetamols. This can cause death of your liver if you do not take according to medical advice. It could be the physical environment. What if there's radiation? That's pretty toxic. Even some people would say lack of natural light for too long can be toxic, if not physically, certainly emotionally. And while it is usually pretty easy to move away from a toxic physical environment, the emotional toxicity can be even more harmful, causes an even longer term damage, and may not be as easy to move away from. So why is that? Let us look at a toxic emotional environment. What does that look like? It is where you feel perpetually undermined. The criticisms coming at you are totally unconstructive. They belittle you. You feel excessively controlled. There are passive-aggressive behaviors towards you. And listen, these are conversations that are laced with sarcasm and are very patronizing in nature. Sometimes they're accompanied by a wry smile. It is where you are blamed while the other party takes absolutely no responsibility at any time. There's no trust. Instead, you are always being judged. No recognition for your worth. You are constantly being devalued, and you find yourself always having to explain the other person's behavior towards you. You feel unsupported. The relationship totally lacks compassion. You do not feel listened to. It is a one-sided relationship where you are encouraged to be vulnerable, but the other party never does, then criticizes you or judges you with your own vulnerabilities. The relationship drains you, and this could be a platonic or an intimate relationship. Just talking about this makes me feel drained. I can imagine it may be the same for you listening. And that is why it is easier to move away from a place than it is to move away from emotional abuse, from an emotionally toxic environment. It takes hold of you. Take some time. Think about the relationships you are in, whether it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a work colleague or, a manager, a neighbor, family member. How do you feel when you are in their company? There are some perpetrators who are totally unaware of their behavior, totally unaware that this is how they come across. Maybe they have only seen this being modeled, and so this is what they're portraying. But make no mistake, for some people, it is their raison d'etre to be mean, to belittle you, to undermine and totally destroy your self-esteem with the hope. They say misery love company, don't they? That you will feel what they have felt or are feeling at the hands of someone else. Maybe it's just jealousy. It could be just envy. You need to deal with it. You need to get out of it. But how? Talk about it. Talk about it. Recognize it for what it is and talk about it. Sometimes it's better to talk to someone who is totally neutral. That way, the conversation will be less biased, less one-sided, less in your favor, so to speak. If it's a friend who will want to take your side, find someone neutral. And it's good to find someone who doesn't know the other person. More than likely, you'll have some sort of confidentiality. Be honest in your description of the situation. Be willing to even shed a tear, because in describing what you felt or are feeling can cause you to shed a tear. It can be quite cathartic, which is also part of the healing process. Sometimes it may even require professional help. Do not be afraid to seek professional help. It can destroy you. It can steal your happiness, break you into small pieces, making you totally unrecognizable, a shell of your former self. It can cause you to become angry and aggressive, develop mood swings and depression. You may even want to transfer this onto someone else, which could damage your healthy relationships. And very soon you feel isolated, alone. You may even lose focus, lose sight of your goals and dreams, and begin to feel hopeless and unworthy. It can lead to serious mental health challenges and seriously affect your well-being. You have to come away. Hey, come away with me.